Hi guys, Tracy here with another layout using the Sweater Weather kit from Scraptastic, which is the January kit. And what I'm doing here at the beginning of this layout is I'm actually putting some stuff away because I had just been scrapbooking out at a friend's house and I just grabbed my kit. One of the great things about using kits in your scrapbooking is that if you ever have to go someplace to scrapbook, you can just grab your whole kit, throw it into a little bag and go, and you've got everything that you need to do a couple of layouts or a bunch of layouts depending on how far you are into your kit. So these are all of the things that I brought home from that crop at my friend's house, and so I'm just kind of putting it all back. And as I do that, I'm having a look at what papers I have left. I had some of the extra papers from the other kit, and so I'm taking those out because I don't want to mix my kits. I'm just wanting to use Sweater Weather by itself at this point. So I also brought some photos with me, and so I still have some of those to scrapbook. So I'm going to scrapbook this picture of it's basically a photo that I snapped the other night when we were playing Settlers of Catan. And there's Lila. She came up to see me, so I was hoping to show you guys what she looks like, but she ended up not wanting to hang around for you guys. She just wanted to crawl up onto my shoulder. So there she is. I'm just waving hi so you could see her. And there she is, just walking across my stuff. It's part of having cats, is that they tend to jump up and lie down right where I'm working, but she doesn't bother me too much during this layout. So that's about all that I think you're going to see of her. So now I'm just thinking about what I'm going to use to mat this photo, and also trying to think about what I'm going to use for background paper. If you watch my videos, you know that I almost always start with picking out a background paper, and so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to use this Scraptastic exclusive paper for my background, and then after I had that picked out, I thought I think I might want to actually frame it in. I happen to have two pieces of this paper just because I'm on the design team, so I got extra of the exclusive pattern paper. So if you didn't have two pieces of this paper, if you didn't buy the extra pattern paper add-on, you could cut a square out, like a square frame, out of the edge of the paper. I just cut it at 1/4 inch all the way around, and then you could kind of very carefully cut it with your trimmer so that you didn't cut through it, and then you could just flip half of it, like flip the outside over so that the plaid part was showing, and then fit the polka dot craft paper right inside of that frame that you just cut, and glue the whole thing down to a piece of cardstock that you're not going to see at all. And that's one way that you can replicate this look without using two pieces of paper. So I just had to run and get another pen because my Staedtler Lumocolor black is finally running out. I've had it for years and years and years. So I had to switch to a Sharpie because this paper it has a glossy coating on it. And I really love that about the paper. It's really nice quality paper. But I just wanted to make sure that my marker didn't smear on it. So I just used a slick surface writer for that. And I'm going to use this other Scraptastic paper as well, this red striped paper, which I absolutely love. And it picks up on the oranges and reds that are in the undertones of this photo. So the table has a reddish kind of wood grain, and then the blocks are orange. And I just really like how this paper looks with that. So I just cut it so that it's a matte and then a little bit of extra paper on the side of it, because I thought I'd want to put an embellishment or maybe some journaling or something beside it. And now I'm just picking out some papers that were really just already cut from other layouts that I've made using this kit. And I'm going to cut this in this Let's Stay Home, because it kind of fits with the theme, and I'd like to punch it out and make it into an embellishment, but none of my punches are going to work with it. So I decide to just fussy cut around it, and then I'll pop dot it and make it into its own little embellishment. Although I am going to have to do this twice because I end up making a mess with this. I accidentally get some ink on it, and yeah, so you'll see me do that twice. So, and that's only just, again, I have doubles of some of these papers, and so I was I was kind of lucky that I had doubles of this paper. I would have just, there wasn't that much ink on it. I would have just used it if I didn't have doubles. But since I did, I decided to recut it. So then I just took another piece of that journaling card paper and cut off the piece that had that same plaid pattern on it that's around the outside, just to pick up on the blue mostly, because there was blue all around the outside, and then there wasn't any blue on the inside, like on the layers that I'm making right now. So this paper was torn before for the other layout that I did, and so I'm just cutting off the torn edge so that I can have just a sharp edge. And I didn't trim it quite properly, so I just went back with my scissors and took off that little bit of navy blue that was showing. And I'm going to cut this into a banner with the fishtails on the ends, and I'm sorry that happened off screen. I forgot to zoom out here. So now I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down and glue all of my layers together, just so that there's little tiny bits peeking out. And now I'm actually going to take this piece over to my sewing machine, and through the magic of video, it's already sewed. I put some gold thread, just a line down the edge of it. And I'm just going to pull up the edges of lots of this paper just to add some shadows and a little bit of visual interest to the layers. And I'm putting some pop dots behind the fishtails so that they'll stick out a little bit more than the rest of the papers. And there we go. And now I have my Let's Stay Home embellishment right there. But I feel like it needs a little something underneath. I did take the whole like the background paper over to my sewing machine as well, and sewed around the edge of it with that same gold thread. And now I'm just using some pop dots to pop that Let's Stay Home embellishment up off my page. And I'm going to look for something that I can layer underneath of it. Thought about that vellum, but I used that vellum on the other two layouts that I did, and I was just wanting something different. So I decided I'm going to use this tag, which is too long as it is, so I'm going to cut off a little piece of it, but I'm just waiting for a second before I do that. And I'm thinking about using the Winter Fun and having it peek out and be my title. And it's sort of a bit of an ironic title, because this layout is about how much I actually don't like winter and how we tend to do outdoor or indoor things in the winter time. And so board games are a common thing that we do in the winter months. And so I'm putting a snowflake on there, and I also cut that fishtail banner paper out of the snowflake paper, just again to kind of accentuate the fact that this story is about how the best thing that I love about winter is actually staying in and not partaking in winter. So now the tag is looking a little plain, and here I'm going to make a pretty big mistake. I put a dot there so that I could know where I want to mist. I want to put some blue on this tag, and I looked through my swatch book here, and it looks like if I mist the navy blue, it's going to come out a little bit lighter than what it actually does come out. So I should have known when I sprayed that was really too dark. And so, yeah, that's not what I was looking for at all. That's way, way, way too dark. So, and in the process of that, I got a little bit of that blue ink on that that cutout piece with the house on it. So there we go. I kind of turned it over just to see if the other blue, it's Sky by Mr. Huey's, would look better. And so I took the second tag that came in the kit, cut off the end of it just like I did with the first one, and misted up the sky blue, it's really, I was hesitant to use that color because it doesn't show up anywhere else on the layout. But then I thought it's actually kind of good that it only shows up there, because it kind of draws your eye to the embellishment that goes there. And the embellishment is sort of what the layout is all about. It's about let's stay home on a winter night instead of going out. So I think it works, even though it is the only like turquoisey kind of like light blue color on the layout. I think it works okay. I like it. So I wanted a piece of red, so I just went into a piece of that pattern paper, that journaling paper, and there was some red that is the same color red that's in those stripes. And so I used a Martha Stewart heart punch. It happened off screen just because I was so zoomed in, but I used a Martha Stewart heart punch, the kind that has about maybe a dozen little hearts on it, and I used that. There's the punch right there over to the side. You can see it. And I just glued one of those with my Zig two-way glue pen. And now I'm just deciding where this is going to go. And I'm just going to put my journaling right down here below my layers, and I'm just going to run it across most of the width of my layers. I want it to not entirely fill the space below, but fill it up mostly. So I didn't pre-plan my journaling. I often don't. Occasionally you'll see me write it down on that white piece of paper beside my workspace. But if you don't see me doing that, then I didn't pre-plan it. And usually I'm just pretty casual about what I write, and I don't really care too much if I make mistakes or anything. So I'm just looking at it and trying to decide if it's done or not. And I'm at normal speed now, so this is how slow I usually am. I just kind of look and think about it a little bit. So this video is about, I guess it's about, what, 13 minutes long? And it took about an hour, I think, to do this layout. So it's a pretty quick one for me. Most of my layouts take about 2 hours. I always put the time that it took me to do the layout in the information section for the video. So if you're ever curious about how long it takes me in real time, the time is always listed in the information section, as well as links to the still photos of the layouts if you ever are interested in just having a look at those. So here I'm just going to give you a little bit of a close-up of what these layers look like. And all the pieces. I really, really love those clips, those Maya Road snowflake clips. They're awesome. I've only used one of them so far, and I can't wait to use the rest of them. They're just so pretty, and they add such a nice detail to a layout. And I do really like how that mist looks. Even though it is the only thing that color on the layout, I do think it kind of grabs your attention, and it picks up on the color in that snowflake paper too. It's not exactly the same color. Like that snowflake paper looks more of a taupe or a gray, like a warm gray. But once I added that mist, it kind of brings out the green undertones in the snowflake paper. So I think it works. I think it looks okay. Green or blue, I don't know, I'm a little bit colorblind when it comes to deciding between the greens and the blues on the colors. Like I don't know where greens end and blues begin, but anyhow, I think it looks nice with the snowflake paper. So here are some photos. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a really great scrappy week.